right. Welcome back to Buck What You Heard. My name is Gene. You can reach me at Buck What You Heard. You follow me, I will follow you back. I'm joined tonight by my co-host Kenny Barrett. How you doing tonight, KB?
Oh, I'm doing a lot better since my boy Shaq came out the party and everyone's now giving him some respect. I've been telling you, if he comes off the right, he's going to get
but the thing is, is crazy. People are mistaking the quarterback pressures. I know sacks are sexy. You hear me say this all the time. Sacks are sexy. Yeah, I'm good with a sack. But if you get quarterback pressures, I mean, come on now. Really?
You're going to get lucky sometime.
Can I just say something? Can I say something here?
Yeah, go right ahead.
Shaq is excellent, and it doesn't matter whether he's coming from the left or the right. He's going to create pressure. He's going to create someone in the quarterback's face. And sometimes the pressure is better than the sack because it forces the quarterback to make a bad throw, get interception. Sometimes he throws it out of bounds. It's an incomplete pass on a third down. Honestly, that's the same result. As a defensive coordinator, you're not going to carry either way.
That's right.
As a fan of your team, you guys are just going to be like, oh, man, Shaq forced a bad throw. We're in fourth down. We're getting this ball back on the punt.
There we go. 100%. And you're hearing sage advice, sage wisdom from my guy, Scott Carasik from the Bucs Wire. Jesus. I'm sorry.
Falcons Wire.
Falcons Wire. Bro, I'm sorry, man. It's been too long since you've been on. Scott, me and Scott have been friends for I don't know how long. We go back. I sent
7-8 years, man.
Yeah, I sent him hot sauce. And he does a really good job. The thing that I love about Scott is objective. I mean, Atlanta's your team, but you could be objective and you can look at things just from a football standpoint. And that's what I love. And I think that's what we need to be more realistic about what's going on. And tonight we're going to talk a little bit about the Bucs versus the Falcons, upcoming game, and some of the matchups that we're going to see, because what people don't know, whether you like it or not, this will be a very competitive game. It's a division game. And we've seen in the past where division games have bitten the Bucs in the ass, and this is just another one of those games. So again, man, how you doing tonight?
I'm good. I've been sitting here playing Madden for like the last 3 hours just because I want the Falcons to win something. So my Madden team that's got like Devin Hester and Deion Sanders and like guys that played like 1 year for the Falcons, just killing it right now,
dude. And this is what's so crazy. I can remember when we were on the flip of this, when the Atlanta Falcons were just balling out and the Bucs were just like miserable, and it was like you really didn't want to talk about it. But we were all on an NFC South show together, and we'd get on there and we would just talk about our teams, and that's why I'm like, this guy, he identified players on the team like Lavonte David. He's one of the few people in the NFC South that was like, man, this dude is a monster, and I would love to have him on our team.
Yeah, Lavonte David to me is basically what Thomas Davis was for Carolina, or like going back even further, he's like what Lance Briggs was in Chicago when they had Urlacher. Like that, I mean, I don't know how else to describe him. Like he's just that ideal 4-3 weak side linebacker, flies around the ball. You use him in your nickel set because he can cover. I don't think he's the best blitzer out there, but I mean, if your weak spot as a linebacker is that you can't really blitz that well and you're great in coverage and you're great in the run, that's just your role. You just play coverage in the run. Like you don't have to blitz. You're a linebacker. Your job is to get up there, hit people in the run game, and go cover somebody.
That's funny because we have a linebacker that has the exact opposite of what Lavonte David is good at.
Yeah, Devin White. He's good in the run and he can blitz, but he can't cover for anything. And I really would love to see Hayden Hurst go line up against Devin White a couple times this game because I think he could get
Dirk Cutter won't allow that.
Catches. No, Dirk Cutter is the worst offensive coordinator in the NFL. Like, I'm calling it like I see it. I hate Dirk Cutter. When we re-signed him, I was pissed.
Fan club, man.
I wanted to be like, you know what? I'm gonna give it a shot because Matt Ryan was probably a little bit behind it. Come to find out, Matt Ryan had nothing to do with it. Matt Ryan didn't know he was even coming back. And I have a feeling if Ryan really had a say in it, he'd be like, nah, Dirk Cutter we've already done that. We've already tried that once.
Yeah, and it just didn't work out. And this is the guy right here. When it was Mike Smith and Dirk Cutter in Tampa, he shredded this team. He's just shredded this team. He was like, "What the hell are you guys doing? Why is this guy here?" Mike Smith is horrible, and a lot of Bucs fans came to that realization and during that Chicago game. So this is one of those. He knows his stuff. I want to talk a little bit about the injury report. I'm going to start out with that. And what I'm seeing, on the Atlanta Falcons side is there's a lot of injuries right now, or not a lot of injuries, but guys that are, limited practice. And, how close are the Falcons to being healthy enough to be where they need to be?
They don't really know what health looks like this year. Just all year long, there's been like 5 or 6 guys who are nagging injury here or issue there, or just some craziness that you see and you're like, yeah, this team is just cursed right now. Like, that's the only way I know how to put it. It's just a cursed team. And it's cursed by their own stupidity. Like, the curse of Atlanta is not that we like built a stadium on top of 2 old churches. The curse of Atlanta is that we have a stupid hiring process when it comes to who the defensive coordinator and offensive coordinators are going to be. It's that simple.
So is Raheem Morris, is he calling the plays right now?
So Jeff Ulbrich calls the plays on 1st and 2nd down. And then they give Jeff Ulbrich gives a suggested call on 3rd down, and Morris can override it or choose to keep it. That's what I've been told. And then red zone is Ulbrich gives a suggestion, and then Morris chooses whether or not to go with it. So you kind of see that go on a lot. You see the 1st and 2nd down calls have coherence. The 3rd down call, crazy. You have no idea what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, T. Smitty, you're right.
Offense.
Huh?
It sounds like the Bucs put on offense. Byron doesn't know what the hell's going on. BA can override him at any time. If there's any big important play, BA's going to call it. You have no idea. There's no consistency across the board, essentially, with the play calling. You don't know what the hell's going to happen on 3rd and short. There's no bread and butter of what your team can do, and that's kind of what I've seen for the Falcons defensively. I mean, if that makes sense.
That's essentially the Falcons defense, but it's gotten a lot better throughout the year because I think Morris is just like, hey, Brick, what's the call? And then Brick gives him the call and is like, yep, roll with it. Like,
because right now, I think there's going to be some changes in Atlanta. And
clean house.
You want to see what you have on the field. You want to see what you have on the field right now. You want to get film on all these guys that you're really looking at. I think this game against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers is going to be a good game to kind of see what you have, see how these guys go up against the offense, and how they deal on defense. Like guys like Calvin Ridley. I love Calvin Ridley. It seems like sometimes he can't stay healthy.
Yeah, keep him healthy. That's his issue.
I mean, that's all Alabama wide receivers. Amari Cooper has that issue.
I'm sorry.
Jones has that.
Alabama,
no, I mean, like, my wife's a Bama
this,
fan, and I'm big Roll Tide. But Alabama wide receivers, once they get to the pros, they can't stay healthy. It is what it is. Amari Cooper's had his issues. Julio Jones has had his issues. Calvin Ridley's has had his issues. Friggin' Henry Ruggs out in Las Vegas has been injured. Jerry Jeudy's had some issues. Like, doesn't matter who it is.
Yeah.
Again, they're going to be great, but they're only going to be great for 13 games out of the year.
Yeah. There you go. And there's going to be some, it's just not that consistency that you want from your wide receiver. Like Calvin Ridley will get hot. He'll be doing good. Then he'll have an injury, and it's like he's got to build back up again.
Yep.
And I don't know if age is playing a factor with Julio Jones. Is he going to start? Do we know, is he going to start on Sunday? Or where is he at that hamstring injury?
If I had to guess, Julio Jones probably is not playing this week again. I wouldn't expect him to play. All those guys that are listed as limited on the Falcons injury report, you can probably expect to play.
Okay. So
all the guys listed as did not participate, you can probably expect as probably not playing unless Caleb McGarry gets his personal thing going on. Apparently, it's something to do with his family.
Oh, okay. So that's personal. That's more of a personal.
Well, he might not be able to clear because of COVID, though. That's the only issue with that.
Well, and that's the other thing.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing. They don't no one really knows what's going on, but it might be a situation with the COVID thing going on. And just to address your need to clean house comment.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think the Falcons need to clean house. Oh, on the coaching staff? I still don't need to completely clean house. I think you keep Ulbrich. I think you keep Witt. I think you keep Greg Knapp. I think the rest you can let go.
Including Dimitrov, you think?
They've already fired Dimitrov.
Oh, my God.
He left with him and Quinn.
Oh, they fired Quinn and Dimitrov. If it was up to me, I would keep Ulbrich as the defensive coordinator for an offensive head coach. Because I think Brick has done a great job getting the best out of this Falcons defense. He's kind of bleeding a turnip here. Really pulling every little ounce of talent he can out. And then give him some pass rushers and give him some just really good safeties and go from there. And by really good safeties, I mean bring back Keanu Neal. He's been great.
Yeah.
But what he's done with Foye Oluokun, what he's done with Deion Jones, helping their development, I think you got to keep Brick. I think you keep Joe Witt because he turned Isaiah Oliver from a terrible corner week 1 to a really solid slot corner. And in the 3 safety looks, he's that third safety. So he's playing 75% of the snaps and he's getting burned once a game for a 12-yard catch. Well, I mean, if you're going to get burned once a game for a 12-yard catch, I'm okay with that. If you're going to get burned 5 times a game for 85 yards like he had been, that we got a problem here.
Exactly.
So they've got him to more of that 1 a game, 12 yards. No different than AJ Terrell, if we're being honest here. Mm-hmm. So overall, they're solid.
So Scott, I want to ask you about matchups. How do the Tampa Bay Buccaneers match up with the Atlanta Falcons? And I like you. I mean, you're gonna give it real. And I know you've watched the Bucs. I know you watched a few Bucs games at least. You understand, both sides. So, what are your thoughts on that?
I would say the wide receiver core in Tampa destroys the Falcons' cornerback core. It's not anywhere close. And then you guys got Gronk. I'm kind of happy OJ Howard's not there. Throw him into the additional injured Alabama wide receiver tight end conversation. But I'm kind of happy OJ Howard's not there right now because if they had to handle Gronk and Howard and Antonio Brown and Mike Evans and y'all's best wide receiver Chris Godwin, there
you go.
That's just too much. We used to have a saying in Atlanta, pick your poison. You guys have it down there in Tampa right now. Pick your poison on offense.
Yeah, it was Julio Jones. Who was on the
Tony
other?
Gonzalez and Roddy White.
Roddy White. There you go.
Roddy White.
Man, Sherrod White is my all-time favorite Falcon outside of Jesse Tuggle because he's the heart that this team needed forever.
Yeah. Do the Falcons have that right now? Who is that guy?
They don't have that Roddy White type guy. They just don't. And they need the guy that's going to be a little bit of a goon, the guy that's going to have that energy. They need it on both sides of the ball, if we're being honest here. Foye Oluokun is starting to kind of show that a little bit. You're kind of seeing a little bit of it with AJ Terrell. He's a fun player to watch.
Yeah.
So if those guys can continue to grow and develop and take over some leadership, I think it'll help. Grady Jarrett's more of that Matt Ryan type, go in, do a great job every day.
Quiet leader.
Kill it, and then go in and on the field, you don't see much. but in the locker room, he is the leader of that defense, and that's the kind of guy he is.
So is it? And again, I don't know. You have your ear to the ground there. You know what's going on. Are you looking possibly over the horizon to get somebody to replace Matt Ryan at some point, or is that started now, or do you think he has years to go?
I think if you put him with an offensive coordinator that isn't the absolute worst in the NFL, who understands how to actually scheme guys open and how to create a coherent, competent run game, I think if you do that, you're going to have an actual like resurgence, kind of like what you saw with Aaron Rodgers in Green Bay.
Right.
Where that second year in Matt LaFleur's system, he looked great. Well, I think you give him a coach like Eric Bieniemy or Joe Brady, or even bring in Gary Kubiak as head coach. And with Kubiak, you're really just running a Mike Shanahan offense. With Kyle Shanahan, you're really just running a Mike Shanahan offense. Like, no, I mean, if you break it down, you break down the scheme, it is Bill Walsh passing, it's Alex Gibbs zone blocking. The only real difference is how well those guys build off their prior concepts, off their scripts. Yep. And when it comes to the best guys to call those plays, you've got Mike Shanahan, Gary Kubiak, and Kyle Shanahan. Those are the only three guys that really understood that offense. Because those are the three guys who've been in it the longest. Gary Kubiak's known that offense for 30 years now?
Yep.
Yeah, and the last time the Falcons had that offense in the Super Bowl.
Went to the Super Bowl, and they tried getting Sarkisian to run it. Sarkisian didn't understand how it stacked. Right. They tried getting, Cotter to kind of do it, and then Cutter's gone back to whatever the hell he used to run.
But the thing with Cutter was not interested in making adjustments. Cutter wanted to put a square peg in a round hole every chance he got. He's not interested. He's not interested in any of the other concepts. When he gets out there, this is what I want to do.
He wants to run his inside zone, ISO vertical,
wide receiver screen.
Like, it's supposed to be based off the Earhart-Perkins offense, but it really just looks more like if you ask me, it's just a basic four verts college offense with some screens thrown in and a lot of ISO routes, which at the college level would probably work great. Put him in Alabama with Nick Saban, he probably wins because the talent level's so good it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But the minute you get into the red zone at the pro level, like, it moves 20-20, but the minute you get into the red zone at the pro level, he doesn't understand that you have to spread teams out horizontally. You got to use the full 53-yard width of the field and really confuse the defense. Running play action slide concepts makes sense. That's part of what Tom Brady did in New England that he's brought to Tampa, and I'm seeing it this year. And spreading the offense, spreading the ball. When you have five guys who can go out for a pass, make all five guys targets.
Right.
So Cutter doesn't do that. Cutter has maybe two guys as a target for every play. And when it's the wrong guy he has set up for a target, it leads to an interception. That's why Matt Ryan has had 11, it was either 11 or 12 3-interception games. One was with Shanahan, one was with Sarkisian, two were with Mike Mularkey, who he played with for 4 years.
Right.
And then 7 are with Dirk Cutter.
That's crazy. That is crazy. So basically, and what I found is Dirk Cutter doesn't do the quarterback favors a lot of times. Just now, does Matt Ryan have any autonomy at all on changing out a play?
He's got some. He can plays. He can, they can go maybe 1 or 2 calls at a line. But if they were smart, they would start doing what they did with Peyton Manning and give him 2 calls, 3 calls, and just let him go, 1, 2, or 3 once he gets to the line with whatever he wants. You've got a quarterback who's been in your system 5 years, who knows NFL defenses like the back of his hand at this point. Mm-hmm. And you still can't make it work. Like,
yeah, there's something wrong.
and it's not on, I don't think it's on Matt Ryan. I think it's on Dirk Cutter and his pride.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you, and we've seen that. You've seen that. Just there have been times where they run the same scheme and no adjustments at halftime, nothing. They come back out and they're doing the same thing. It just doesn't matter. With this Tampa Bay Buccaneers team that we're going to see on Sunday versus the Atlanta Falcons, you have Tom Brady, Mike Evans. And we're talking about Ronald Jones had an injury to his finger. I know they put pins in, so we may not see him. You may see Leonard Fournette.
COVID too for Rojo.
Oh, Rojo, really? He's on COVID list. Okay.
Yeah, he's on the COVID list. I don't know if
because he went to a hospital and got surgery. That's why they put him on it.
Oh, never mind then. Look, he's breaking Bucs news for us. Why are we even here, man?
Yeah. But these are important games right here. And I know a lot of people are saying, okay, the Bucs are going to go in. They're just
that wasn't breaking Bucs news. That's the COVID protocols for the league.
Oh, I know.
If you go to the hospital, you have a procedure. You have to pass like 3 tests before you can get into the game. He might get taken off before the game, but for right now, they got to isolate him. Because, again, he went into a hospital. He got a procedure. That's where COVID is right now.
So, man, we'll kind of have to wait and see. I don't even know if, as a running back, a wide receiver is a different thing. I know that Chris Godwin had pins in his finger, and, they had him out on the field. But when you're running the ball, that's a totally different situation than
it's a fumble waiting to happen.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. This is one of those situations where I don't see him playing. I would foresee like a Leonard Fournette. I would foresee Shady McCoy or Keyshawn Vaughn, somebody like that at the running back position, or that rotation somewhere in there.
How has Fournette and McCoy been doing? Because everything that I've seen of them, it's either boom or bust. It's very like Ricky Bobby, if you want to go with that metaphor. Like if you get first, you're last. If you're not getting 1, you're getting 20.
So Fournette, basically, there would be a wide gaping hole, and he would decide to jump cut it back into the offensive lineman. And that was after 2 weeks of doing really well. Then all of a sudden, Fournette forgot how to pass block. So he got benched last week. McCoy comes in. He hasn't even played in 6 weeks. And he just comes in, one drive, they hand him the ball 4 or 5 times, and he runs for like 35 yards on those 4 carries. And it's like, whoa. And you see him on every pass protection. Oh, he picked up. And so now it's kind of, with Rojo out, Fournette's probably going to come in and be number 1. But I think he's going to be on a short leash. I think McCoy, he has the opening now. He's got the coach's trust we've seen with Bruce Arians that, he's just going to ride with whoever's hot and whoever isn't fumbling and whoever is picking up pass blocking, which right now that guy is McCoy.
I don't know, man. I could see Leonard Fournette out there. What I know about Leonard Fournette at Jacksonville is that he needs to get fed the ball a lot in order for him to be successful.
25.
So does Rojo.
And when you've got 2 running backs like Ronald Jones, who needs to be done the same way, we saw that last week against the Vikings, 18 carries for 80 yards. That works for him. I think that Fournette will be okay because he will get the majority of the production, and we will get to see that. I just hope that he's running forward and not sideways. But I'm not gonna go there. That's my personal opinion here, just on what's going on. Oh, you got the hound on here.
That's Tuggle.
So cute.
Tuggle. Named after Jesse. Nice. So, when you're looking at this defense, and I know you've gotten a chance to watch the Bucs defense, what are your thoughts on the Bucs defense and what they're doing?
Y'all's pass rush is pretty dang good, as we would all expect from what we saw last year. Run defense, I think there's a couple
with
holes.
The loss of Vita Vea too.
Well, I don't think Vea's strength is pass rush. I think his strength is run defense.
Run defense, yeah.
Well, this year, I would argue that Vita, granted, he's bulldozing people, but he was getting 5 yards into the backfield, getting held every third rush, essentially. And he was doing great. He notched a couple sacks. in his limited time. But he's not known for moves or anything, but he gets that push up the middle, which against like a quarterback like a Matt Ryan is very needed.
It is. But you guys are still getting that push. I mean, you guys have a great pass rush. You guys have a very solid pass coverage group too. I wouldn't say it's a top tier pass coverage group, but I'd say that with your pass rush, it doesn't need to be. Like you're not going to be winning any interception contests, but you should have a pretty solid. You guys should have a pretty solid year there.
Yeah, we're a pass defense like king over here. Like Carlton Davis is usually top of the league, and then Jamel Dean, playing half the season last year, was a couple of pass defenses off the number one spot. This year's been hurt, but they knock balls down. Is what the Bucs DBs do.
Opportunistic, which is all you need to be. And then Winfield's impressive. Like Winfield has been that perfect center fielder that you guys need in your defense.
When the Bucs drafted, I was excited for the pick. I was excited for the pickup. I got to watch a few games out of Minnesota, and he was like a safety hitting like a linebacker. But my concern was the injuries, which, that's been a non-factor now. There have been rookie moments for him. I'm glad to have him. I'm excited to have him as a Buck. I mean, I think he's been a needed presence that for a fact that I used to gripe about the secondary.
Used to gripe about your safeties because you guys had Bradley McDougald and Chris Conti and three or four of these like schmucks that were just terrible.
Yeah. Basically what it was. You remember?
Oh, I remember because I remember Chris Conti still playing like even 3 years after that. And I was like, why? Why is he still on a roster?
Because he's a Mike Smith guy.
I think
he's not a Mike Smith guy.
I think
Mike Smith never had him here in Atlanta. Mike Smith picked out really talented safeties in Atlanta. We had William Moore. We had Thomas Deku.
Yeah, I remember Thomas Deku.
We had who was that guy first year? Eric Coleman. Eric Coleman was real solid. But no, man, he was not a Mike Smith guy. Not by any stretch of the imagination.
He was here for 3-4 years. Chris Conti, I mean.
That's because you never.
And again, it's one of those things. It's just like I remember EJ Biggers being one of our starting cornerbacks.
Oh yeah, I love that day because you guys used to put him heads up on Julio or heads up on Roddy, and I'd be like, "Oh, let's go."
We also apparently did 30 different coverages on Julio with Mike Smith, and that turned into like 270 yards and 3 TDs.
To be fair, you could do 10 different coverages and it'll have the same result. It's Julio Jones. He's a freaking nature. He's the best wide receiver from 2011 until 2019 in the NFL.
Ooh, who do you consider better than him? Just out of curiosity.
Right now.
Right now? He's the most talented, yeah.
People who are healthy.
Yeah.
Okay, deal. I'll take that.
Like Julio Jones is the most talented wide receiver in the NFL, but he's also 31 years old. So 10th year in the league. Not as healthy as he used to be.
Father Time's catching up.
Father Time's catching up, but through his first 10 years, he also has pretty much the most yardage of any player by almost 1,000 yards, which is insane.
So, Scott, I want to ask you, when you've looked at the Bucs, how many games have you watched? Quite a few games for the Bucs, or just when they're on, or whatever?
Like 4 or 5 when they're on. I see them here and there. I've seen a couple of their losses.
Yeah.
And I've seen one of their wins.
So,
I like watching Tom Brady lose, so I normally tune in sometimes just to.
I know that.
That's deserved. From your perspective, that's deserved.
So, I have a grudge against Tom Brady for selling his soul to win the Super Bowl against the Falcons, and pretty much every.
I think he sold his soul when he married Giselle. Personally.
No. He's sold his soul and then was like, this is the down payment for everything that happens good in my life. And then when I'm gone, just take me. I don't care. So his wife, he's Giselle Bunkin's trophy husband. And he's a 6-time Super Bowl winning quarterback.
Yep.
If that tells you anything about that dynamic.
And he's actually coming to Tampa, and he's flipped it. He's like flipped the script here in Tampa. I mean, the Buccaneers are poised to win, to get into the playoffs. And I haven't talked about that since we started it in 2016. A possibility, there was a slight possibility of the Bucs getting in 2016, but we all know what happened at that point. I think you almost have to go back to 2010, where you could really
Raheem's first season,
Raheem Morris, and that which they lost. You know, they didn't make it into the playoffs on a formality.
Green Bay got in and then won the Super Bowl.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, I wasn't exactly happy about that, because I would have much rather seen you guys come to Atlanta than Green Bay come to Atlanta for that game, because I knew if you guys had come in, well, Matt Ryan's probably throwing 3 touchdowns and throwing 200-something yards, and the Falcons are at least making it to the NFC title game and home field advantage in the NFC title game. Like, I don't think the NFL in 2010 was really that good. And I think if there was a year for the Falcons to actually go out and win it, it might have been that year. And then we go back to 2012.
2012. I was going to say 2012. What was it? The Seahawks. I think they had a 7-win. Were they 7 wins?
They had 7 wins right at the end of the year.
The Saints game when they got in.
No, 2012 was when the Seahawks came to Atlanta. Atlanta went up 28-7. Or 27-7. The Seahawks came back and scored 3 touchdowns in the fourth quarter, and then Matt Ryan throws a pass to, I want to say it was Tony Gonzalez, for like 45 yards to set up the game-winning field goal. And Tony Gonzalez was like, I won a playoff game, and this was amazing, and it was because of us. And I was like, no, dude, it was because of you. Like, you're Tony Gonzalez. You deserve this win. Like, I don't care what team you root for. Tony Gonzalez is the kind of dude that you want to just always root for. Yeah. Like Michael Strahan, to use a Buck. Like, I love Michael Strahan. Yeah. Because he's just a good dude. Like, you just root for those kinds of players. A guy that's in the league right now that I can think of would be like Lamar Jackson. Yeah. Like, seems like a good dude. And Pat Mahomes, like, you just want to see those guys just do well, because
when it's that game, you can't be mad at them.
Yeah, like when they do something great, you're like, I mean, that's just Lamar Jackson, or oh, that's just Pat Mahomes, or oh, that's Russell Wilson. Like, you know, when Jimmy Graham was in his prime, even though he was with the Saints, it was like, well, that's just Jimmy Graham. Like,
but then I don't know what happened to Jimmy Graham. He kind of turned into the evil supervillain when he left the Saints and he went to these other teams, and what he was.
He's a merc, man.
Yeah, he is a merc. He's a Shaquille O'Neal of the NFL.
So is the
but like way less talent than Shaq. Because Shaq's like one of the top 10 all-time players in basketball, and
okay.
I don't even think Jimmy Graham's going to crack the top 100 all-time at his position in the NFL.
Yeah, so this is going to be an interesting game here, and I love what the NFL is doing, having these division rival games towards the back end of the season. It's one of those things that it makes it interesting, and this is where the Bucs are going to have to bring their A game. And a lot of people are saying, you go out to Bucs Twitter, that this is pretty much a formality to go out and beat the Atlanta Falcons. I disagree. Strictly because it's a division rivalry game, and I don't know how many division rivalry games I've seen go south. I expected, and please don't be mad, because now the New Orleans Saints are my new arch nemesis.
Oh, so we got a saying in Atlanta, and I don't know if I'm allowed to cuss on this station or not.
You can say whatever the fuck you want to. I'm drinking a goddamn beer right here, bro.
Well, then here's the saying in Atlanta: it's "fuck the Saints." Like, whenever the Saints game comes around, it's not "rise up" or "in brotherhood" or any of the other slogans. It's
"fuck the Saints."
You see a Falcons fan, man, fuck the Saints.
You know what? Fuck the Saints is what they say on Bucs Twitter about the Saints, basically. And we don't even have to be playing them.
Do y'all
It's
want to
fun.
join forces with us and just hate
No,
on the
dude.
Saints forever?
Yes.
Because
No,
like
my best
the
friends
way
on
so the way I look at this, Atlanta and New Orleans and Carolina, right?
Mhm.
Atlanta was the big brother. New Orleans was like the middle brother, and they've got real bad middle brother syndrome. And then the Panthers are the baby brother. And like the Falcons have just been around for the longest and all that.
Yeah.
Saints came around, straight up middle brother. And then the Buccaneers are like the cousin that was hanging out up in like the Midwest, and then like finally came back home. And you're just like, what's up, man? Let's go play some Madden. Let's go like mess with the Saints. Like, let's go mess with New Orleans. Like New Orleans is over here being a D-bag. Like, let's go mess with them.
You know what's so funny is that a lot of division rivals can't be pissed off at Bucs fans. You bring up Atlanta, or you bring up the Saints, or you bring up Carolina or something like that, and it's like, oh, there's some history there, but for some reason, you know what it is? I think it's because the Bucs have been losing we've been losing. Hopefully they'll fix this, but I think
the only thing I hate about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers is that you have Tom Brady, and I can't stand Tom Brady.
100% understand that. That's understandable. Totally. That
outside of him, yeah.
Dude,
So you're not mad about the 2002 Super Bowl at all? That we have one? You guys don't have one yet?
You guys played the Raiders, and you guys had Chucky as your coach, and you guys had to deal with the aftermath of Chucky as your coach. So no, you guys have paid your penance for that.
Deal, I'll take it. He's a good man.
Like, I don't care that you guys won in 2002 and Michael Vick was our quarterback and we weren't going anywhere. Like,
well, how do you build from that? I mean, 2021. How are you guys set for salary cap?
you're going to see a lot of bloodshed, but it's not going to be big names. It's just going to be guys with big contracts, and you're going to see a lot of restructures. So like you'll see like Alan Bailey get cut because for whatever reason we have him under contract next year for $8 million.
That's crazy.
You're going to see James Carpenter get cut because, again, for some reason, we have him under contract next year for $8 million. Yeah, there's a couple of different guys.
You guys are not even close to what the Saints are looking at. The Saints.
Oh, the Saints are doing one last hurrah for Breeze this year. Yeah. That's their goal. And the whole Taysom Hill garbage that happened with him, he didn't beat the Falcons. Taysom Hill wasn't the guy that beat the Falcons in those two games. Dirk Cutter beat the Falcons in those two games.
100%.
Because his god-awful play calls these last 4 weeks, even though the Falcons destroyed the Raiders, it had nothing to do with the offense. It was 100% the Falcons' defense.
That was the defense.
And special teams killing it. And, you know, when you set up a team on the 20-yard line, they're got to score a touchdown sometimes.
Yeah.
And then, you know, our Young Ho, Young Wei Koo.
Yeah,
I love Young Wei Koo, man.
It's just the name. It's just the name. But
he's our Young Ho. Like, and in Atlanta, that's a point of pride. You want to be our Young Ho. Like,
that's right.
The fact that we got a quarterback named Young Ho was like
a kicker. Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
And then he's so swaggy, it's great. Like he comes out of the
video. I've seen these YouTube videos where this guy's like doing backflips and kicking the ball.
Have you seen this dude come off the team bus looking like a member of BTS, just like, yes. What up, man? like that's Young Wei Koo all day.
Yeah, but from an on-field standpoint, he's the only kicker I've seen who's really figured out the south end zone of the Bucs stadium. Kickers struggle so bad at the south end. He's perfect.
Yeah.
I think it's because when Georgia State moved to their new stadium, Turner Field, back when the Falcons in 2017, that stadium at Turner Field has a lot of weird wind angles because it was designed for baseball.
Yeah.
So when he was out there kicking in that stadium, he had to deal with that same kind of weird wind angle coming out of because I hate to say it, Turner Field was designed with the wind pushing out because it was right next to
All
the
baseball
launching
fields
pad.
are like that now.
Yeah, all baseball fields are like that. So it was designed to push balls out towards the outfield. And that is what it is. Unless you're in like Detroit. Detroit doesn't like home runs for some reason.
Yeah.
It's already dark and sad there, but no, we don't like home runs either. Been to Detroit once. Most depressing 2 days of my life.
Yeah. So what is I have to ask this question. T. Smitty, who's a Alabama fan like yourself, I like to give him grief. But he was asking the question: the Saints pass rush dominating the Falcons' offensive line, but Cutter kept calling 5 and 7 step drops. Did you see that?
Yes, and then he kept calling max protect, which
why?
If a pass rush is coming in,
is there a logic? Is there a logic to some of the things that he does? I never figured it out while he was in Tampa. So I'm thinking that his mind is back in 2001 to 2008, somewhere off in there.
That's when he was good.
That's when.
he was solid in 2012, and that was the last time, really.
Right. His offense was cutting edge at that time.
But in Atlanta, and what he was trying to do against the Saints, it was a lot of max protect to try and guard against 4 guys, and it didn't work. But when it didn't work, he didn't think, oh, let's change it up. He just went, oh, let's do more max protect, more max protect, more max protect. And they were getting through because the receivers couldn't get open because he was running 3-man combo routes that weren't even getting open. So instead of changing it up, he waited a whole 2 weeks to change it up. And the second time, it was a lot better. Matt Ryan only got sacked 3 times instead of 8. Jeez. I mean, they improved. He only got hit 4 times. So of those 3 sacks, honestly, of those 3 sacks, 2 of those were on Matt. He held on to the ball too long. And I went back and I watched it, and he had an open receiver here or there. He just didn't have time to really get the throw out. Right. So he just held on to it and was like, you know what? I'm just going to take the sack. It's 2nd and 4. I'll take a 3-yard loss. No big deal. So and then he went out and got that 3rd down. So it was like, okay, we can forget this.
So when Matt Ryan, and this is one thing, and I'm sure this is with every quarterback, but especially with Matt Ryan, when Matt Ryan gets hit, it changes how he plays the game. And I've watched his footwork. I've watched his footwork. When he's gotten hit or knocked down a few times, I can see him climbing the pocket, and Tom Brady does the same thing. When he gets hit a lot and he's climbing the pocket and putting the ball, it's not he loses accuracy at times. And this is what I've seen from him.
So this is every quarterback in the NFL.
Yeah.
There's outside of like Ben Roethlisberger because he's like an old angry drunk, but like every quarterbacks are piñatas. All right, the more you hit them, they kind of crinkle up, they kind of get bruised. After a while, they start popping out candy. Whether it's the ball, whether it's an interception, whether it's a fumble, whether it's 3rd and 20, and they just get so scared and they're like, oh, they just crumple up and take the sack.
That is the best fucking analogy
I've ever heard
in my life. A piñata. That's
quarterback's a piñata. You just got to keep hitting it till it pops out the candy. My defensive coordinator used to say that when I was in high school, and I was like, that's genius. I want to keep hitting this quarterback. Like
genius. That is.
Quarterbacks are piñatas, man. Just keep hitting them. Hit them all day. Hit them every play. Like if you have a passing play and you're not getting a quarterback hit, you failed in your pass rush.
Yeah. At least getting a hand on. No quarterback.
At least get a hand in his face or something.
No quarterback should ever walk off the field with a clean jersey. Period.
Never, ever, ever. I mean, I want that thing halfway ripped off his body. Like I want like one of the numbers to be kind of like hanging loose from Tom Brady. Like it needs to be like 1 and then like a 2 folded over. Like to me, that's the ideal pass rush.
Yeah.
Is getting after him so much that his jersey's getting torn because you're always getting your hand on him to pull him down. Like that's a good pass rush.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. That's and again, that's something that oh, Jesus, got Alabama on the brain. Atlanta is going to have to get after the quarterback, with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in order to, in order to really set the tone for this game. Do you feel like that you have the personnel to get after Tom Brady?
If this was a Dan Quinn called defense, I would say no, we do not. However, this is a Jeff Ulbrich called defense, and he actually likes to blitz, and he likes to do a lot of different things with his blitzes. He runs delay blitzes a lot. He runs just straight up line up 6 men and just go after them. He probably shares my quarterbacks or pinatas philosophy because the Falcons hit quarterbacks a lot more under Ulbrich than they have probably since 1998. I want to say was the last time we had a defense that actually hit quarterbacks this much. And we all know what happened then. Again, that's why I think the Falcons need to keep Jeff Ulbrich, is because he's creating a pass rush and he doesn't have the pieces. The Falcons' leading sack artist right now is Deion Jones. Their number 2 is Foye Oluokun, tied with Grady Jarrett, tied with 4 other players who somehow have 3. Like Steven Means has 3, Charles Harris has 3, it feels like I'm sitting here watching the New Day, just going who are these people after each one of these guys? Because the casual fan has no idea who any of these guys are. And they're really just try hard types. They're just the guys, but they all have a good work ethic. One of the, a Falcons cult hero because of how well he did against the Raiders is JTM, Jacob Tuioti Mariner.
Right.
He's one of our favorite players just from one game. And then he's been creating pressure since then. He got in the face of, who was that guy they were playing last week? Herbert, 6 or 7 times in the last game. He was a step away from a sack, and then Herbert would just loft it right over his head to a screen. So the Falcons are creating pressure. They're actually causing some impact there. They're just not closing, which we all know the Falcons are not the best closers.
And does that correlate to coaching, or what is that? What, in your opinion, what does that correlate to more than anything?
Honestly, I think that's coaching more than anything else. I think if you had a better pass rushing coach who could sit down with each guy and focus and build them. There was an article that I read about Shaq Barrett where he went to the pass rush summit and he actually focused and paid attention and was like, hey, Von Miller, what do I do here? Hey, Chuck Smith, what do I do here? Hey, Khalil Mack, what am I supposed to do here? Hey, I forget the guy's name. Aaron Donald, what am I supposed to do here? And then they just all compared notes. And now he's a killer pass rusher because he went to one pass rush summit and then got asked to be an instructor at the second one because he put up 19 sacks. Let's just call it what it is. If you had a guy who could understand the science behind pass rushing and teach these guys how to do it, you're going to have a real pass rush no matter where you go. Whether it be Dwight Freeney or Chuck Smith or any of those guys that are out there, just bring in a pass rush coach and you'll create those pressures even better. And then you'll have a defense that maybe not get 50 sacks, but at least gets 40 in a season. We haven't had 40 sacks since 1998.
How do you, and again, is that something that as a coach that you bring in this new coach, is that something they should strive for?
40 sacks? They should strive for just terrorizing quarterbacks, being able to stop the run, and playing competent coverage. As long as your coverage can make the tackle right after they catch it and you're not getting burned for 40-yard plays, I feel like it's today's NFL. You're not going to have a guy who's going to go in there and stop every single catch. To me, again, AJ Terrell coming in as a rookie, what he's done this year, his passer rating allowed based off of his targets is terrible. But if you go back and watch the film, you're like, all right, well, he allowed a 8-yard pass here, but he tackled him right after. He allowed a 12-yard pass here, but he tackled him right after. Yeah, he allowed a 5-yard touchdown to Keenan Allen, but he played coverage so perfect, it was just a great throw. And it's the team's number one wide receiver. So if you give me coverage like that, where like, unless he's the only way to play better coverage than that is to interfere with the guy and get a penalty called, like, that's all I'm going to ask for. So if you create a pass rush, then Terrell can go out and get those picks. If you create better run defense, then you're forcing them to go into those situations where you can call those exotic blitzes and you can call those different stunts. And I think the coach should be focused more on, I think the Falcons' next head coach should be focused on offense.
I think that's where your strength is right now with, I mean, when you look at the talent that you have on that team.
I feel like that's where the struggle is right now. And it's not talent.
I mean, as far as talent goes, that is your strength right there, not your defense, isn't it? It would be your
Julio Jones, Calvin Ridley, Russell Gage at receiver. After them, a bunch of guys. Let's call it what it is. Like, I love Olamide Zaccheaus. I'm a big fan of what Brandon Powell has done as a returner. I like Laquan Treadwell, but just guys. Like, let's just call them what they are. They're just guys. I didn't even list Christian Blake because he's just so forgettable. Like, just guys. Hayden Hurst at tight end. He's got potential to be better, but you got to get his team.
He's on my fantasy team.
So the route combinations that Dirk Cutter is calling for him make no sense for what his skill set is. He's calling these little like 5-yard hooks on every play. And it's like, dude, this isn't 40-year-old Tony Gonzalez here. This kid can run.
Yeah.
Like, if it was 40-year-old Tony Gonzalez, yeah, but
he's got the physical tools to do it, but we don't really see it.
He needs an offseason with Matt Ryan, like a real offseason where he can go and do OTAs and really build a playbook with him. Not what they had this year, which was frustrating. Yeah, Hayden Hurst has been solid. The two guys behind him are scrubs and should be cut. That includes former Buck Luke Stalker. The offensive line, not bad.
Is Luke Stalker somebody that you could use like in short yard situations? You can almost use him like a fullback, couldn't you?
Yeah, but we have Keith Smith as a fullback, so why do we need Luke Stalker?
This is true.
And why do we need to pay him $3 million next year?
Well, because the fullback's such an important point.
Like, let me have my money back and go play for anyone else. Like, please go play for the Saints so we don't have to deal with you and we can pass rush right at you.
There we go.
He's been a liability. I hate Luke Stalker. Our running backs have been a liability. Todd Gurley, the corpse of Todd Gurley.
Were you happy with the move when they brought him in?
Can I be honest with you? No.
Yeah, please.
I thought it was a waste of money.
I was kind of on the same plane with you because when I saw Todd Gurley in Los Angeles, and I think they had made it to the Super Bowl, and I looked at him and I was like, what's wrong with him? This isn't the guy that we saw his rookie season, or, I didn't see the Todd Gurley that we saw when he jumped into the NFL and had everybody's attention. This wasn't the same guy.
The Falcons would have been better off going with Ito Smith as the lead back, Brian Hill as the secondary back, and then teaching Ito how to pass block.
Your chemistry.
Or what they really could have done, instead of teaching Ito how to pass block, is change the offense to where he does these little chip releases and is that receiver off the side. But we're talking Dirk Cutter here. Who's going to change the offense more than Dirk Cutter? And then gone out and drafted a guy in like the 5th round just a dude. Like, I mean, that's what the Falcons have at running back. So you really got, and then you got Matt Ryan, who's a hell of a quarterback. He's nearing the end of his career, but I think you put him in a Shanahan style scheme and he's going to go back to being who he was in 2016, 2017, 2018, where he had 3 of his best years. I don't think it's coincidence that the minute they get rid of Steve Sarkisian, Matt Ryan goes back to being crap because they've got Dirk Cutter here.
Exactly.
Matt Ryan's worst years were 13 and 14 with Dirk Cutter. And then he goes and gets Shanahan and he's becomes good. Like really, really good again. Like back to like
MVP?
8 to 11, 8 to 12 Matt Ryan, right? And then Dirk Cutter comes back and Matt Ryan's back to 13, 14 Matt Ryan. And you're like, well, what happened? Dirk Cutter. It's the one constant for all of that.
Like, dude, it's 2020. This is not 1999 or year 2000. You have to update your play calling. It has to change. It has to evolve. I mean, I don't understand it. It's like my uncle who he used to listen to all the up-to-date music, and then all of a sudden he gets to a certain point in his life and he doesn't want to listen to new music anymore. He wants to listen to all the old stuff that he used to listen to. He thinks the new music is trash and he didn't want to listen to it. So that's kind of how I equate what Dirk Cutter's doing. It's a shame.
Best way to equate it.
It's really a shame, kind of where he's at. Well, Scott, we're nearing the end of the show, but I really want to do this. This is something I do with everybody that comes on Buck What You Heard. I have 10 questions, 1 minute, and you answer the questions in 1 minute, you win, or in under a minute, you win. Otherwise, you don't. And
right.
The cool thing about this, and I know that you're going to do good. I think I'm picking you at like 45 seconds personally, but
I don't know about that.
But the thing is, there's no wrong answer. It's just how you feel about it.
Okay.
And normally I don't tell people that until after they've done it. But because you're a special guest and a friend of mine, I'm going to let you in on that little secret. So what I'll do is I'll ask the first question and then I'll start the clock. All right. And so the first question is, who do you trust to get to the playoffs, the Bills or the Bills or the Cleveland Browns?
Bills, they're leading the division.
Jalen Hurts, buy or sell?
Buy.
Who do you trust, Kyler Murray and D-Hop or Allen and Diggs?
Allen and Diggs.
Nick Chubb is the most important Cleveland Brown on the team, buy or sell?
Sell. It's Baker.
2020 quarterback draft class will be better than any class in the past 20 years, buy or sell?
Sell. I think there's one or two guys who are going to be great. The rest are going to suck.
Minus the Super Bowl, Riverboat Ron is coaching the best football of his career, buy or sell?
Buy.
Mike Evans will go over 1,000 receiving yards, buy or sell?
Buy.
Matt Ryan is the MVP of his team, buy or sell?
Sell. It's got to be Julio.
Miami Dolphins, contenders or pretenders?
I think they'll make the playoffs, but I don't think they'll do much past that.
The Arizona Cardinals, contenders or pretenders?
Pretenders. They won't even make the playoffs.
Dude, you got it with 1 second to spare. You are my guy. I knew you would do this. I knew you got this.
I was like 45 seconds for 10 questions. You can't even read all 10 questions in 45 seconds. That's tough.
That's what's up, man. You got this. Thank you. Most people don't get it. They like freak out after the first question, or I hit them with a really stupid, ambiguous question, like somewhere in the middle, and it messes them up. But hey, you got it.
What was the stupid, ambiguous question for that one?
Probably would have been. Let me go back to the questions here. It was probably the Mike Evans question because you're not a Bucs fan, is what I threw in for you.
Yeah, but doesn't he have like almost 800 yards already?
Yeah, he needs like 111 average for the next 3 games.
Okay, so he's at like 700 right now, 670. Yeah. He can do it. I mean, the Falcons' defense isn't great.
Yeah.
I mean, and then just put him on Kendall Sheffield and Darkwing Denard. I always mess up trying to say his name the right way. So Darkwing Denard and who is it? Sheffield, Denard. I think Oliver actually would be able to handle him now. Ask me week 1 and no, but I mean, Evans should probably clear 130 this week. And then you guys get us again in the last week, probably another 130 then. I think Chris Godwin would go off, though. Like, if Godwin goes off, all bets are off because Godwin is a beast.
Yeah. And he got the pins out of his hand, so he's doing his thing. Well, dude,
he's your best receiver.
Number one, he's your number 1 receiver right now. Hey, I want to thank you again for coming on, man. I'm hoping I can get you on again last game of the season maybe, and just chop it up a little bit. It's been too long since I've had you on.
Agreed.
And I apologize for that. We will rectify that. I would like to do something for the draft, or pre-draft, something like that. I'd like to get with you again. Folks, if you don't know, I knew about Ali Marpet before anybody in Tampa knew about Ali Marpet. Thanks to
that's
my
my
guy.
Dude.
That is my guy here. He was like, keep your eye out for Ali Marpet, and he ran down all these stats on this guy. He's like, this guy is going to be legit. And this was prior to him even just destroying Danny Shelton. This was prior to that.
It was like right before that whole day. I was like, he's a 4-time Division III All-American at left tackle. Like, the 4-time when he was a 240-pound freshman, he was an All-American at left tackle. Yeah, it's Division III, but like, he should have gone to a bigger school. If Ali Marpet goes to Alabama, that dude is going first.
He's not available.
He's
not available to the Bucs.
No, he's going top 5. Like, that's how good he was. And I was like, how the hell did this guy sneak off to Hobart College? Then I did my interview with him at the Senior Bowl, and he was like, oh, I just wanted to stay close to home.
Yeah.
I was like, you're not going to be close to home. I'm like,
well, he's got an interesting story. Like, I think one of his parents was like a roadie, like traveler, something like that. And he's just always, that's just his personality. He's known for his ukulele and sandals down here in Florida. Like, he's always just chilling. So, like, I'm not surprised at all.
He's a chill dude. Like, most offensive linemen aren't going to be nasty, angry dudes. They're going to be chill dudes who like to eat and then still go play football. Like,
there's 9 normal guys for every one Richie Incognito.
Exactly.
There's like 999 normal guys for every Richie Incognito. Like, most offensive linemen just rip on each other because they're all like fat dudes, and fat dudes rip on each other. But like,
and also they're with each other like every single minute of like every single day. They're always roommates together. They're always going to the movies together. Like, they're the most tight knit group out of any group on a football team, at least from my experience.
See, I just never would want to have those guys bunk together because top bunk, you have to worry about one guy falling on top of the other guy. But
oh no, man! I went to Bucknell. All of us, like above 300 pounds, we had to share seats. I mean, we small Division I school, like on buses and stuff. It was not fun on those bus trips. We were all smelly. We're all
played O-line.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, so you know exactly. You could tell me this better than I could tell you this, but yeah, they didn't let our offensive linemen in high school, like on road trips, like even sit in the bus next to other offensive linemen because they were afraid it was going to get too rowdy.
I mean, maybe my high school.
KB, can you speak to this?
Oh, I mean, we always hung out, played cards together. Like, we were always chill. We were never like crazy, but like off of the field, like non-football stuff. Yeah, linemen go hard. I mean, they can drink with the best of them. So,
I love Ryan Jensen's another guy that I love. I love
football player.
And just what he's done. I've actually interviewed his dad.
Your rookie this year, Wirfs, is a beast too.
Jesus Christ, man! What he did to Joey Bosa was almost criminal.
He ruined Joey Bosa for the next like few games because Matt Gono held Joey Bosa to like nothing, and I was like, "Is this dude in his head or something?" Like Gono,
he straight up abused him in that game, and I wasn't expecting that.
Gono is good, but he's not like starting good. Like, shouldn't be starting on an NFL team at tackle, maybe at guard, but he should not be starting at tackle. And he held up. He was like, "Yep, I got Joey Bosa. We're fine."
Like Cam Jordan, he shut down Cam Jordan. And to anybody out there that's still talking about what him going up against Khalil Mack, you have to watch the whole game. You have to watch. Don't look at that one play. Against Christian Wirfs.
It's Khalil Mack, y'all.
Once an executive play.
It's Khalil Mack. Yeah. It's Khalil Mack. Like, let's. I mean, we're talking one of the best pass rushers of the last
once in a decade.
7 years, 8 years since he got into the league.
Yeah.
Like Khalil Mack, like if he was getting beat by like John Kaminsky this week, you got to worry. But if he gets beat by Khalil Mack, like no big deal.
Yeah, and it was just one play, but if you look at the whole game, you go back and look at the whole game, they don't show the plays where he shut him down and just what he did against Khalil Mack as a whole. They show that one play where Khalil Mack got him and flipped him on the ground. That's all they got.
And then on the other side, you have Donovan Smith, who's given up 6 of Trey Hendrickson's 10 sacks on the year. Basically got him a contract.
Really good.
Yes,
I've gone back and watched
better against Donovan Smith.
No, Donovan Smith is garbage.
I
don't know how Ali Marpet and Donovan Smith came out of the same class. How you guys even took him in the second round, because Marpet to me was like first round talent, and the only reason why I said he was going in the second was because he was D3.
Yep, that's the
Donovan Smith was fifth round talent, and you guys took him in the second, and I was like, well, this is the same organization that took a kicker in the second round.
I can't argue.
If you know me,
I don't have any argument for that.
There's a mortal sin in the NFL that all teams do, and that if I could sound like Kevin O'Leary here for a second from Shark Tank,
please.
If I was the owner of a team and you drafted a kicker before the 6th round, I would fire you and go, "You're dead to me." like that. You just don't do that. That is mandate. You can find a competent kicker in the street, like Matt Bryant or Young Hoku or anybody. Just go sign one in free agency. A punter, if you take him in the 6th or 7th round, I'll forgive. A kicker, 6th or 7th round, I'll forgive. Get your guy, take him late, that's fine. Don't ever draft a long snapper. Just do undrafted free agent tryouts so you can find it.
Go in the 5th round this year?
What a waste of a pick. Don't ever draft a fullback. The fullback is a dying position in today's game. Just run 2 tight end sets.
Now I have to ask you, can a fullback be utilized though? I mean, if you're in the right system. In the right system, can a fullback
Kyle Juszczyk is an H-back. He's basically Chris Cooley out there running the same shit Cooley used to run.
That's true.
True, but I'm just saying he's the modern fullback in the sense
he's an H-back. He's not really a fullback. He's more of a second tight end that will drop down into fullback or that will start out as a fullback just because he's a really good blocker. So if you can get a fullback like him, you're running a 2 tight end set in the first place.
But those are very rare coming out of college anymore.
They're really not. I feel like you could take any undersized tight end and move him to that fullback type role like Kyle Juszczyk is in, because that's all that the Washington team did. That's all that Kyle Juszczyk really was in college. He was a fullback in college at Harvard.
He was let me tell you, if you ever want to look up a play, look at Kyle Juszczyk versus Bucknell. Let me tell you.
But he played tight end primarily at Harvard.
Yeah.
So they lined him up at fullback.
Yeah.
Kyle Juszczyk is literally the prototype for what I'm talking about. Take an undersized tight end, move him to fullback in your base when you run that 21 personnel, but also use him in 12 personnel and also use him just everywhere because he's that kind of player. Aaron Hernandez, scary name to say, but same kind of guy.
Yeah.
Not off the field, obviously, but on the field, same kind of guy.
Yeah. I get what you're saying.
You'll learn as I am on this show a little bit more my sense of humor. It's a little rough around the edge.
You got to promise me you'll come back on for the last game of the season.
Oh yeah, definitely.
2020 has been a nightmare for a lot of people, whether it's financially or just emotionally or just everything that's going on. How have you been dealing with that?
I mean, my wife and I are lucky. She's been able to work from home. I'm actually getting moved to a work from home situation coming up. Primarily, I work as a loan officer, dealing with auto loans and helping members of the credit union that I'm at, buy cars. So my job's pretty straightforward. I don't need to be in the office to do it. I can do it over the phone from my house and basically just send the checks up, or like digitally send the checks to the branch so that the member goes and picks up the check. It's real simple for me. For a lot of people, they're not that lucky. Like they're just not. And I wish more people were lucky.
You know, my wife, she works at Phoenix Children's Hospital, and she's right there. You know, unfortunately, she's down with surgery. She had surgery on her ankle, and she's down. But normally, she has been in the middle of this throughout the majority of COVID. Whether it's been with the being on the actual COVID floor, or, you know, just surgeries, liver transplants, and that kind of thing. And it's I worry about her, you know, and you know, again, when you have somebody like that in your house or in your home, it puts you at a higher risk than, you know, what's normal. So to the people out there, like, you know, that you, like yourself, you have to go into the office, or, you know, people that are out there in the field, my thoughts go out there for you guys, and I know how it can be. So, you know, again, I'm glad that people are able to stay healthy and stay safe. I mean, I work for a company where I can work from home, and I will be working from home until April at the minimum, working from home until April. So,
so on the bright side for me, like my boss is saying I might be able to work from home permanently if I can show good performance during this time period. And I've been doing well at work, so I don't think that'll be an issue. Like, so,
you know, that's what's awesome about it, you know, and I think that all these different things that people were saying that you can't do, the reasons you can't work from home, you really can. I know the one thing that we kind of got teased about, because we play conference call bingo all the time, you know, because we do have conference calls and stuff like that. You know, it's just one of those things. You have fun, you know, doing these kind of things. But I really, you know, my heart goes out to the people that are less fortunate out there, that have to go out and they're having to expose themselves to everything that's going on. I've even gone out of my way to, you know, donate my time and donate my money and energy to people that are less fortunate right now. Especially with Christmas coming up, and making sure that, you know, there are people out there less fortunate and aren't able to get that Christmas dinner. Make sure that they are able to get that. So that's one of the things that I can contribute, you know, from this show, Buck, what you heard, just for myself, from my heart, to make sure that everybody has a good end to this 2020 year, and let's go in strong with 2021.
And go get vaccinated once it's available, please. Please, we all want to go back to normal, man.
Yeah,
we all want to go back to normal.
You know, I've read some articles on it, you know, and I understand the concept that they've come up with, and I think what it comes down to is people need to educate themselves on, you know, hey, this is what it is. If it's for you, yes. If it's not, but at least educate yourself on what the actual concept is for the vaccination, because you know, you can go back in history and see a lot of the pandemics that have hit the United States, and, you know, they were able to cure things because of vaccinations. So it's definitely something to keep in mind.
So my great grandfather wrote a journal about the influenza pandemic back in 1918 to 1920.
That was crazy.
And when I read through it, it was like, oh my God, he talked about having the worst feeling of his life. He only lived to be like 68 years old. And I think a lot of that had to do with the fact that he did catch that nasty influenza back then. And I mean, it is what it is, but how can we sit here and justify not going and getting a vaccine when it's been presented so quickly? Back then, it took them almost 4 years to really get a competent vaccine. They didn't have the technology we have today.
Yeah.
They didn't have the genome sequencing. They didn't have the ability to go out there and create this stuff so quickly. Like, I get it if you're like all anti-vaccine, whatever, but that's a whole different conversation. And I question the intelligence of people that are just like completely against vaccines altogether. Like, I can understand if you're apprehensive about how quick this one took. but they've been working on coronavirus vaccines for a while, and they just kind of focused it. So when you go and you do that research, you're like, okay, that's why it happened so quick.
Please at least educate yourself on what it is. I'm not saying I'm not going to be that guy that says, oh, okay, you got to do this. I want you to at least educate yourself on this and make your own decision. So it's one of those things. Scott, thank you so much. Tell everybody how they can get a hold of you. And I please at least write one article before the year's up. Come
on. All right. I'll write something about the Falcons and their head coaching search. Because we all know that Raheem Morris ain't going to be the guy.
Yeah. I'm sure of that.
I like Raheem. I just don't think he's the long-term
I like
guy.
Raheem too. I think he's been in the wrong place at the wrong time, personally.
I think take him over to Jacksonville, let him build his team, give him a good quarterback, and then go from there. Like, I think that's the best way to go for Raheem long-term.
There you go. All right. Again, let me get your final thoughts, and we're going to roll out of here. It could be something related to the world. It could be sports, whatever. But just your final thoughts, man. I'll get KB next, and we'll roll out of here.
Final thoughts. Just everybody enjoy the holidays. Hug your families. Make sure that everybody's happy. It's a stuff kind of Christmas, not a family kind of Christmas, if that makes sense. Like, you might be stuck at home
100%.
and not able to go and visit family this year, but Zoom is great. Use it.
Yeah.
And that's all I got.
100%. KB, final thoughts, brother.
Well, final thoughts from me. If you've ever had a Kraft single slice of cheese, a Twinkie, or any sort of processed packaged good, you can take a vaccine. I had to end on a light note. We were getting dark there.
This one really likes Kraft singles.
Oh, dogs love them, man.
That's what's up right there. For me, guys, I feel like this is a time we should all be together. I mean, regardless of where you are in the world, we should all come together. I think it should be on a regular basis, but especially right now. I hate the negativity that I'm seeing. I think we should all be positive. There's so much we can learn from each other, even on a local basis, like in the United States. I think we should all be working together, but even worldwide, we should all be working together to make things positive. We need to go into 2021 in a positive note, and that's what I'm really hoping for. With the vaccine, getting back to normal is important. Being able to travel, being able to go to places that I really want to go, that are on my list. And, that's what's really important to me. Football has been a great outlet for me, especially the NFL, getting to watch games, getting to get your mind off of your work, off of other issues for a short period of time and watch your team play regardless of where they are. I think that's something that we need to focus on and appreciate when you are able to do that. So that's kind of my thing right there, is to make sure that we are in a good place and, just continue to build off of that positivity. With the holiday seasons right now, just, appreciate the little things, finding a toy in a box of cereal, appreciate the little things, man. That's what it's all about. And that's pretty much all I have right now. And guys,
I got one more thing, man. He's got one more thing.
Does it have to do with tacos?
No, I mean, I'm down for tacos whenever. Those are the best. But no, I got to throw this out here. College football playoff. The system is broken.
They need to expand it.
It needs to be 8 teams.
8 teams. I'm
and
with
you
that.
Bring back the old BCS standings as a seeding system. See, where the BCS got it wrong is that it should have been a seeding system for a playoff. Where the playoff got it wrong is they thought that the BCS was completely obsolete. You combine the two, everyone's happy. You got a computer-style seeding system, marry them, and then you go from there. And then, Power 5, all 5 of those teams, automatic bid for the conference champion. Use it as a seeding system. Whoever's the lowest rated of the 8, they're number 8. So if you got a Pac-12 champion with 4 losses, well, tough shit, they're number 8. That's what they should do.
Work. I love it. Well, dude, thank you so much. KB, thank you guys so much. Anybody that's listening, thank you. You're greatly appreciated, and we are out of here.